Hello, we are on to another week. I'm going to try to take you along like I did last week on what we're having for dinner. I dug out my meal planner from a box so that way I could use this to write it down because I was writing my meal plan on the back of mail. And I thought I have to do this on a piece of like actual legitimate paper. Let me show you what we're going to have. All right, so Sunday is today. We're going to do that chili mac that I didn't get to make last week, and we're going to have it with peas. Monday, we're going to do lasagna with garlic toast. I'm going to use ground turkey. Tuesday, chicken and stars soup with saltine crackers. Wednesday, the kids eat at church, so it's just my husband and I. So I have a frontier soup mix that you add some fresh potatoes to, but it basically has everything else. So I'm going to make that frontier soup corn chowder with garlic toast. And then Thursday, I got that fish in my Fare for All order. If you didn't watch that video, go back and watch that. You can see what I got from Fare for All, but we're going to make that fish. Parmesan crusted fish with mashed potatoes and broccoli, and the potatoes that I'm going to use in this and this are both actually they're from the haul as well, where I got the fish, the Fare for All. And then Friday, oven baked tacos with Spanish rice and fruit. I did a Ruby's Pantry. I tried it. I don't think we'll do it again, but I did get some hard taco shells in there, and I want to get those used up. A lot of the shelf-stable stuff is technically past the date. I'm not so worried about that, but I want to make sure we use them up just because they're going to continue to go stale, and that's why I opted for oven-baked tacos, was because it would crisp up the shell. So we'll do that with some Spanish rice and fruit. I make my Spanish rice in my Instant Pot. And then on Saturday, beef and rice pilaf with fruit. That is also an Instant Pot recipe. So this is my best intention. Things can change, and I'm okay with that, but this gives me at least an idea and something to kind of go off of. And I know that for lasagna, I need to pick up some cottage cheese. So things like that, but that way I'm hoping to get back on and stay on the meal planning train. So stick around and we'll make the chili mac tonight, and hopefully I will get through all of this meal plan, and if not, you'll see what we make instead. I'm working on dinner. I've got in my Instant Pot ground beef with a bunch of seasonings and onion, tomato paste, better than bouillon, and I'm just cooking that away. I'm going to add in a bag of organic kidney beans, and we're going to add in some water and some elbow noodles, and then when it's all done, I will mix in some shredded cheese, and that will be our chili mac, and I'm going to make some peas alongside of it, and that will be done. I added some cheese to it, stirred it all up. That's what it looks like. I just have the lid on it because my husband is picking up my daughter. Okay, I'll put it back on when I can focus more. And then we just have some peas heated up. I just heat them up in the oven with some butter in my cast iron, and then some bread with butter and toasted in the oven. And you guys, look at this. This is what time it is. It is 8:15 at night, and we still haven't eaten yet because this is our life right now. And you know what? That's okay. So I was really tempted, oh my goodness, to just get something, but I went, nope, we are going to eat at home. So as soon as they get home, we're going to eat. For Sunday night, I will see you tomorrow, Monday, for lasagna. And as I was thinking about lasagna, I went, that's right, I have leftover spaghetti sauce from 2 weeks ago in my freezer, so I won't even have to make my sauce for my lasagna tomorrow, which is great. And lasagna for tonight, and I'm still making lasagna, but I forgot that like 2 weeks ago I made spaghetti, and we have a ton of spaghetti sauce left over in the freezer. I have this plus another jar out there. I'm going to start out with this because that might be enough for the lasagna. I'm just going to make a small pan of it so we don't have a ton of leftovers. Just enough for dinner tonight, and maybe some for my husband tomorrow for work, and that will be good. So I've got that. So I won't be making the sauce today, which is totally fine. I'll use that, which is great because that helps empty out the freezer too. And so that's what we're going to do tonight. So when I start doing that, I'll take you along. Start working on the lasagna. I have a jar of some organic lasagna noodles. I got these from Azure Standard. This will be my first time using them. So I need to get them boiled up. Typically I use the oven ready ones, but I really wanted to have organic ones, and I couldn't find any oven ready organic ones. So I'm going to get water boiling, cook up these noodles, and then I've got my sauce here that we're just going to heat up. and then get the filling ready. And for my filling, I have some Parmesan cheese and some cottage cheese and some garlic and Italian seasoning. Mix all that together for the middle layers, and then we've got some mozzarella cheese as well. This we just buy in huge blocks from Asher, shred it, freeze it, and I use it from frozen. So that's that. On the stove, I've got my water starting to boil, and I've got my sauce heating up so that way we are ready to assemble. Got my lasagna assembled and ready to put into the oven. I'm just going to throw some foil over the top, bake it at 350 till it seems like it's done. I'm guessing a half hour, 45 minutes. Right before the end of the time, I will take it out and top it with the mozzarella cheese. Because if I put it on now, the cheese will just be like too melted, which I know seems really strange, but that is possible. So I just want to let these noodles, these are al dente noodles, so they are pretty pliable. I have like a couple random pieces left over, but you can see they're mostly cooked. So we're just letting those noodles absorb that delicious sauce and cheese mixture and all that goodness. So into the oven. Lasagna's out of the oven. I'm just going to throw that foil back over it just to tent it, keep it warm, let it sit and just rest for a little while. You don't want to cut into it right away. It won't stay together very well. So we're going to let it rest until my husband gets home. All right, dinner is done. We got our lasagna, which I already showed you, our everything bagel, toast, and that's it. That's all we're eating for dinner. Super simple, but yet homemade, delicious meal that was fairly inexpensive and using things that I already had on hand. If I remember, I will show you the pumpkin cake when it's done. The pumpkin cake just came out of the oven, so I'm just going to let it sit here and cool down a little bit, and we'll have it with some ice cream after dinner. But there you go. That is dinner for this Monday, and I will see you tomorrow for Tuesday's dinner, and I don't even remember what it is, so we'll find out tomorrow. It's time for dinner, or almost time for dinner, so I was pulling out things for dinner tonight, and I was pulling out spices and realizing that a lot of mine need to be refilled, so that is what I'm actually going to stop and do right now, is just top off. What started it was my onion needed to be refilled, so I just grabbed out everything that needs to be refilled. I'm going to get that taken care of, and then we'll start working on dinner. Seasoning and spices all filled now, so we are going to start working on dinner. I'm going to take down my Instant Pot, and we're going to make a chicken and stars soup, and we are using a can of chicken breast. I totally poo-pooed canned chicken. I had it as a emergency food storage item. However, not that we're in an emergency, but we are in an extremely tight budget, so I'm going to use this because it also should get used up. It does have a really long date. It's good through 2025, but try it. Yes, there's added things in it, but you know what? It works for a really quick, easy meal. And then I've got some star noodles. I don't even remember where I got these from. And for the broth, we're just going to use Better Than Bouillon. And then I've got some celery. This one's from Aldi. I'd get another whole thing of it from Fair for All. So I'm actually going to chop up what we need tonight, chop up the rest, and freeze it for future meals. We've got a few baby carrots yet that need to get used up, so I'm going to use those tonight. But I do have also carrots from Fair for All. And then I've got some diced onions that I'm going to use that are in my freezer, but I also have onions from Fair for All. So I could have made this with a lot of my Fair for All stuff, but I've got stuff older that I want to use up first, and then I've just got a bunch of spices and seasonings that I'm going to use. So the first thing I'm going to do is just wash and cut that celery, freeze some of it, save some out, and then cut up the carrot. So I have all of the ends and icky pieces in a bag for broth later on. I don't know when I'll make broth next, but I'm still going to freeze that. I chopped up the rest of the celery, so I'm going to take some of this and use it in the soup, and then I'm just going to freeze the rest of it in a Ziploc bag, and then I will have chopped celery ready for future soups and stews and whatever else might call for it. In my Instant Pot, there we go, I've got the onions, the carrots, the celery, and some avocado oil, and I'm just letting them cook away, and then I will get the Better Than Bouillon, water, and seasonings in there next. As far as seasonings go, I added in some parsley, some thyme, some roasted minced garlic, some garlic powder, some turmeric, some pepper, And then when I'm ready to get everything going before I turn the Instant Pot on, I will add in a bay leaf or 2. The reason why I'm not adding any salt is this Better Than Bouillon has a fair amount of salt as it is. This is the low sodium one, but there's still salt in there. And then of course, because we're using a canned chicken, there's going to be some salt in there as well. So didn't add any additional salt, but I'm just letting that saute away in there. You can see that turmeric's in there. It gives it that beautiful orange color. Helps to just make the soup a pretty color. Got my Better Than Bouillon in there, my water. Now I'm just going to cook this. I'm going to do 5 minutes. That should be plenty enough time to get the veggies tender. And I did not add in my chicken yet because it's cooked. I don't want it to get like, oh, I forgot to add in my bay leaf. I'm going to add my bay leaf in, go 5 minutes, and then I will add in the chicken and the star noodles, and then I'm probably just going to do like 0 minutes, which basically brings it up to pressure, and then that's it. Because these are so tiny, they'll probably cook pretty fast. I've got some butter here that I'm going to season for our saltine crackers. While I'm waiting on my soup, I just went ahead and diced up the onions that I had sitting in my bowl. Since I got that bag from Fair for All, I'm going to throw this into the freezer, then I'll have diced onions ready to go, because I noticed some of them were starting to get a little soft and I wanted to make sure we didn't waste any of them. I drained the chicken and just kind of shredded it up with a fork. If you've not seen canned chicken, this is what it looks like. It literally tastes like regular chicken, especially in like a soup. I don't know if I could eat it like this, but in soups, it's worked really wonderfully. And seriously, you guys, I was one that was like, no way. But we've been using it in soup and it's been good. So now I'm going to get that into my Instant Pot. I let the steam release and I'm going to check how tender the veggies are and add this in. Dinner is done. We've got our soup here. We've got some strawberries and some grapes, and then some saltine crackers. They were kind of a little soft, probably stale. I had opened the package and they were in a bag, but I guess they got a little stale. So I just popped them in the oven and toasted them up for a few minutes. So now they're warm and nice and crispy. And then just some butter that I softened, and I put in some garlic and parsley and pepper. And we'll have that with the saltines. And that'll be dinner tonight. I will see you tomorrow for dinner tomorrow. Wednesday. It is time to start working or thinking about working on dinner. So tonight we're just doing a loaded potato soup mix from Frontier Soups, Anderson House. It's a really clean shelf-stable item, but I want to use up some of these shelf-stable items just to save on our grocery budget. So we're going to go ahead and use this up today. Let me flip around the camera and show you what we're doing. So as I said, we have this loaded Frontier Soup baked or loaded potato soup, and the ingredients are very simple. Just has potato, broccoli, tomato, onion, chive, scallion, peppercorn, black, green, white, and allspice. And then you need bacon, broth, potato, and heavy cream to add into it. So I've just got some of this pre-cooked bacon from Costco. These are the potatoes that we got from Fair for All. They are a red potato. That's what we're going to use. I do have a teeny bit of heavy cream. I actually have a whole nother one in the fridge. However, we got this milk in our Ruby's Pantry pickup, and it technically expired yesterday. So I'm going to use this instead. I'm going to use the teeny, like there's like literally a tablespoon or 2 left of heavy cream. I'm going to use that and then use the rest of the milk. I know it won't be quite as creamy, but it'll still utilize that milk. We actually have a whole nother gallon to use. We didn't get a lot of time on it from Ruby's Pantry, so trying to make do, and that way I can save my heavy whipping cream for something else. And so that's what we're going to have for dinner tonight. This is a stovetop recipe, but I think I'm going to figure out how to make it in my Instant Pot instead, just because that's just easier. And I don't have all my stuff, so I've been using my Instant Pot a ton. So I will get it started here in just a little while. I have these bananas to use up, and it got me thinking about banana pudding, so I'm going to use up more of the milk. With the bananas, I don't have any vanilla wafers, so we're just going to do graham crackers and do like an old-fashioned banana cream, whatever that thing is, you know, with vanilla wafers. It'll be a great way to use milk. and use up these bananas, and we can totally substitute graham crackers, and that will be delicious. Progress. Working on the banana pudding. I pulled out some sourdough bread. I'm gonna butter it and throw it in the oven. My soup is still going, and then I've got my pudding here just kind of cooling down in a bowl for the banana pudding. Banana pudding is all done. I'm gonna put lids on it, pop it into the refrigerator, let it sit. I'm very excited. The pudding is delicious, so I cannot wait to dig in tonight. This one is to go to my mom's. I'm gonna bring her some soup and the banana pudding, and then this one we'll keep at our house. The soup is done and ready to dish up. I got out some cheese to put on top, the bacon, and then I have a bowl. I'm gonna bring some to my mom, and we are going to eat. I will see you tomorrow for dinner. I'm working on making it's Croatian milk bread. So we still have a ton of milk that I need to go through from Ruby's pantry. So with that in mind, I made some chocolate pudding that I just have cooling in an ice bath, and we are gonna make our version of dirt cake. We don't have the worms, but we're gonna do the pudding and the Oreos crushed up. So I was able to use 3 cups there. This called for 1 1/4 cups, so we're working our way through the gallon of milk that we have left. I'm gonna make waffles tomorrow, I think, to go through the rest of it. And then I have soup left over from last night we're gonna reheat, and I'm gonna make some fish and some mac and cheese left over from lunch. I'm gonna reheat for the kids because they won't eat the soup. And then I'm not exactly sure what else, some sort of vegetable. All right, I am getting my breading ready for the fish. I've got some Parmesan cheese, paprika, parsley, and pepper. And then the recipe just says to dip them in some olive oil, brush them with olive oil, dip them in this, and then put them in the pan. I'm gonna use my cast iron. I'm gonna get it heated with some butter, and that's how we're gonna do that. All coated. Now I'm gonna pop them into my cast iron and get them into the oven. Dinner's done. The milk bread is sliced up. The fish is done. Soup is reheated. I reheated mac and cheese from lunch. I made tartar sauce just a little bit ago, cut up a lemon. The lemon we also got in our Fair for All pickup. We got cotton candy grapes and strawberries, and then carrots and ranch. And that is going to be dinner, kind of a hodgepodge, but it will be good. We are home, and I'm going to start working on dinner. I'm going to cook up a pound of ground beef, and I'm going to add in some beans that I need to pull out of my pantry. And we got these taco shells from Ruby's pantry. They technically expired in September, so we're going to make sure we use them up. So I'm going to do like an oven-baked taco. I've never done that before, so I'm excited to see how they taste. But essentially, you just fill the taco with your filling, throw it in the oven with some cheese, bake it, then you take them out and you fill them with your favorite toppings. So that's what we're going to do for dinner tonight. I'm going to pull out a thing. In fact, I'll just show you. Let's see. We'll get out some beans here. I really like these Thrive beans because they come in these pouches, and it just makes it really easy and quick for adding to tacos. So we'll add in a pinto bean. I got my ground beef and my beans. I'm going to mix those up, and then it says 4 ounces of tomato sauce, so I'm going to use some of that. And then it had a recipe for a spice mix, so that's actually what I did. I was thinking you just use regular taco seasoning, but I made the spice mix that they called for. We shredded up our cheese, so now I'm going to mix this together and get them assembled. Dinner is done. I cut up an apple. I was going to do rice, but we just ran out of time dealing with house stuff. So an apple and some carrots with ranch. Then we got our baked tacos, sour cream, lettuce, salsa, and some hot sauce, because that's all the toppings we have for today, and that's fine. Quick, easy dinner. It's dinner time. We had a busy day doing lots of trick-or-treating activities at various places. So we're going to use the Instant Pot, and I have this diced steak from Melaleuca, and this is a recipe for, they called it like beef rice pilaf. I don't think it's rice pilaf, but we're going to kind of follow the recipe. Slightly different. They used like a roast and cut it into pieces. I have this diced steak. This will work well enough. We've got rice, better than bouillon, these carrots, and the onions we got in our Fair for All pickup, so we're going to go ahead and use those. There's some strained tomatoes that are left over from a previous recipe, and then a bunch of seasonings. I don't have any steak seasoning like the recipe calls for, so I'm just going to use this wing blend instead. Probably not anywhere remotely close to the same, but that is fine. And then as our fruit, we are going to have some applesauce. All we have for fruit right now is apples and bananas, and we had apples with lunch. So just to change it a little bit, we're going to do applesauce with probably cinnamon sugar on it, and that will be our side for our rice pilaf. So I'm going to get this going. I've got my beef browning, I've got carrots, I've got onions, and all of my seasonings. I'm just going to add in the tomato sauce, the beef broth, let it cook for a little while. Then I'll vent it, add in the rice, cook the rice, and that will be good to go. Up the meat and the carrots and the onions and stuff. Let it get all nice and tender. I'm going to take out that bay leaf, add the rice in, and then cook the rice in this broth, and that will be done and ready for dinner. I've got some sourdough bread, I've got regular, and then a couple everything bagel because that's what we have left. I'm going to pop that in the oven, and that's what we're going to have together. Dinner is done. It's a little soupier than I'd like, but my crock pot or my Instant Pot won't come back up to pressure again right now to reabsorb some of that liquid. So we're just gonna eat it as it is. It's fine. Got our toast and our applesauce. So that's dinner tonight. Enjoyed joining us for dinner last week. I took you along as we made all of these items and crossed them off as we made them. And we stuck to our meal plan. Our sides slightly varied, but that was just kind of based on what we had either left over or like what was still good for produce, what we haven't eaten for produce, things like that, and time. So like I didn't have time to make the rice with our beef, the baked oven beef tacos, but that's okay because we made it through the main meals. So thank you for watching this week. I am going to do it again next week, so I hope that you will hit that subscribe button. Join me. I will share my meal plan, my grocery haul, and what I'm making for the week as long as everything goes well. And I will see you later today because it's Sunday for this coming week.